What if a long-held power balance was shattered overnight? In the heart of Scandinavia, a seismic shift is underway that could change the very dynamics of Europe. Sweden and Finland are not only amplifying their military presence but have also united their forces in an unprecedented way. Tens of thousands of troops, alongside cutting-edge British fighter jets and Apache helicopters, stand at Russia's border, signaling that the rules of engagement have dramatically altered. For over 2 decades, Russia viewed the Arctic as its impenetrable fortress, a sanctuary for nuclear submarines and a strategic stronghold against NATO. Yet, as September drew to a close, those old maps became mere relics of a bygone era. In their place stands a formidable new assault brigade formed by Sweden and Finland, comprising nearly 12,000 soldiers. This joint force redefines military cooperation in Europe, marking a courageous departure from decades of neutrality, shaking the foundations of alliances, and transforming regional power. This brigade, boldly named Assault instead of Defense, serves as a clear signal to the Kremlin that NATO is no longer on the back foot. This is no idle posture of waiting, it's a collective fist, primed for action. Located perilously close to strategic Russian assets, including critical nuclear submarine bases on the Kola Peninsula, this new military strength complicates Putin's calculations. What authority will emerge from the hearts and minds of these 12,000 soldiers, and how will this aggressive repositioning alter the landscape for Russian military ambitions? As allies rise to meet a shared threat, Finland's Lapland, rich with its rugged terrain, prepares to become the front line of this evolving conflict. Within hours, striking capabilities and essential resources could reshape both sides of this icy battleground. This assault brigade will stretch along Finland's border, taking positions near the Kola Peninsula, where Russia's most sensitive military nodes are scripted. The stakes are high, Russia's northern fleet and its arsenal of nuclear weapons rest here, assured by the icy depths they inhabit. But now, a ground force equipped with tanks, advanced artillery, and armored vehicles threatens these critical infrastructures. Suddenly, Putin's nuclear umbrella seems far less secure. What directly follows will force Russia to divert essential troops and resources away from Ukraine's embattled front, consequently weakening their ongoing military operations there. A reality emerges: NATO is not simply reacting. It is gaining momentum, seizing the initiative, and poised to target Russia's most vulnerable points directly. This saga is only beginning, as both Sweden and Finland contribute cutting-edge technology and specialized forces, further intertwining their fates with NATO. Sweden's fighter jets, renowned for their versatility and efficiency, hold the key to maintaining air superiority in Arctic skies, while advanced artillery and armored vehicles present an unyielding force on the ground. Will these developments reshape the balance of power forever? As the northern front hardens. Watch closely, the potential ramifications of this alliance will echo across Europe and beyond, shifting the strategic narrative that has long favored Russia. As we peel back the layers of this growing military coalition, it's clear, the echo of footsteps on Arctic soil could foretell a new era's dawn. Will Putin adapt swiftly enough to counter these strategic challenges, or has he ignited his own undoing? The narrative of power is being rewritten, and the ink is still wet. Amidst a turbulent shift in global power dynamics, NATO is reawakening with unsettling vigor. Once a defensive bloc, it has taken a bold leap into the offensive, the establishment of a new assault brigade, an audacious step designed to send shockwaves through the Kremlin. This brigade, with its striking name, an assault brigade instead of a mere defensive unit, leaves no room for misinterpretation. It boldly signals the alliance's readiness to confront Russia directly, particularly near the vulnerable Kola Peninsula, which serves as the backbone of Russia's nuclear submarine fleet. This unexpected military coalition presents a formidable challenge to Vladimir Putin. For years, he sought to diminish NATO's influence, yet his invasion of Ukraine has triggered the very escalation he aimed to prevent. Now, a force of 12,000 soldiers is poised at Russia's northern frontier, equipped with heavy armor, self-propelled artillery, and advanced weapon systems. This transformation is not merely a consolidation of military units, it represents a seismic shift in strategy, altering the historical landscape of NATO and unsettling the Russian military calculations. But what truly lies behind this imposing alliance of soldiers? How will their presence shape the balance of power along the Finnish border and restrict Russian capabilities? To unravel these mysteries, we must journey into the heart of Finnish Lapland, examining the implications of this newly formed brigade, a living nightmare for Russian strategists. The alliance is not simply a distant whisper, it is poised for action. Ready to strike at the core of Russia's military infrastructure in the region. The Kola Peninsula houses essential assets for Russia's nuclear deterrence, a geographical stronghold crucial for the defense of the nation. However, this new brigade, comprising a sophisticated blend of Swedish and Finnish military might, emerges as a direct threat to that very stronghold. What's at stake? The presence of 12,000 troops in Lapland, armed to the teeth with tanks and high-tech artillery, spells trouble for the Russian command. Previously, Russia took comfort in its underwater fleets, believing them to be untouchable. Now, however, the cold grip of uncertainty tightens. Russia's fortified submarine bases, once thought impregnable, are under looming threat from an adversary that has shed its cloak of neutrality. As the tension escalates, the Kremlin is faced with a daunting reality. It must reallocate critical resources, troops, and air defense capabilities, pulling them from the Ukrainian front, weakening its war machine just as it desperately seeks to maintain its foothold in Ukraine. What remains to be seen is how this reconfiguration of power will unfold. The formation of this assault brigade is a definitive sign that NATO is no longer waiting passively, it's actively reshaping the theater of operations. The days of merely drawing lines in the sand are over. In this evolving narrative, the stakes are monumental, and the questions are chilling. Can the Kremlin manage the unexpected pressure? Will this powerful alliance prove to be the catalyst for a broader conflict? The answers lie just beneath the surface. Hidden in the icy terrain of Lapland, where the echoes of history may soon collide with the clangor of modern warfare. Imagine a silent fleet of nuclear submarines that once prowled under the ice, now lying exposed beneath a winter storm. How could a swarm of 12,000 soldiers, equipped with Archer howitzers and armored platforms, press a direct line into their shadow? The Arctic is no longer a distant dream, it is a battlefield waiting to be claimed. Will the hidden ice caves hold a secret that could tilt the world? The cars of steel glare against the glare of the sky. The new brigade's combined firepower pours into the heart of Russia's nuclear heartland. Soldiers are moving from long-ranged railways into frostbitten forests. For every missile that can launch beneath the sea, there is a platoon that can strike cartilage-hard steel with each harried heartbeat. The boots of this 12,000 strong band will tire and lift as quickly as the wind does across snow-covered plains. The new arsenal will deflect the wills of a superpower and pull its own tide of troops northward, keeping the eastern front at bay. Could the new formation cry out loud before the cold lungs evaporate? The vastness of Lapland has proved a home to cunning, quiet squads and a new sort of iron that never wants to cool. Finland's massive reserve can bring 280,000 soldiers into the fray at a moment's notice, while Sweden's prototype armor can press forward as if the ground were a willing ally. The machine guns make the air look like glass, yet the sound of grinding wheels echoes long after the squads pass. An EFF-35 yawns, a Eurofighter takes a notch in the clouds, and the city that once sat silent now shivers visibly. The earth under their boots trembles toward a line that is 1,340 kilometers of relentless watch, an axis that once looked as harmless as a border wall. Will the next seafloor rumble splitting the calm be heard sooner than the inside of a kingdom that has long held its secrets? In the previous segment, we uncovered how Russia's once secure northwestern border has suddenly transformed into a front line teeming with NATO forces, equipped to challenge Moscow's dominance. The formation of the new assault brigade marked a turning point, an unforced error by Putin that backfired spectacularly. But what if this brigade didn't even exist? Could Sweden and Finland still defend NATO's northern flank? The answer lies in Sweden's formidable military arsenal. Sweden's entry into NATO brought more than just troops, it introduced cutting-edge technology and expert knowledge of the Arctic's harsh landscape. Picture the sleek Saab JAS-39 Gripen fighter jets slicing through icy skies. Light on fuel, agile, and adaptable, these jets can launch from highways scattered across the country. Even if major airbases fall, Gripens will continue their relentless patrol, disrupting Russia's northern air defenses and fighting fiercely over the strategic Kola Peninsula, home to Russia's vet fortress of nuclear submarines. But Sweden's impact doesn't stop in the air. Imagine the thunderous roar of BAE Systems Archer self-propelled howitzers unleashing precision strikes. In just 20 seconds, these long-range artillery systems can fire shells and then vanish, changing positions so quickly enemy counters miss their mark. This deadly dance mirrors Poland's HIMARS missile system and would painfully cripple Russian artillery if pushed to its limits. Below the waves lurk Sweden's Gotland-class diesel-electric submarines, silent hunters, nearly inaudible, lurking in the Baltic's shallow, tangled waters. These stealthy vessels have historically been a nightmare for Russia's navy, multiplying NATO's underwater offensive capabilities. The Gotlands can shadow and strike Russian subs with spine-chilling quietness, turning the Baltic into a hazardous labyrinth for Moscow's vessels. Putin now faces a Scandinavia armed not just with soldiers but a lethal cocktail of ice-hardened warriors, high technology, and elemental endurance. The stakes have never been higher. But how does Finland's unmatched resilience add to this Arctic equation? Stay tuned, because the next chapter delves deeper into how Finland's vast reserves and guerrilla expertise challenge Russia's strategic vision in ways few predicted, reshaping northern defense forever. What secrets hide in Finland's forests and snowfields? You won't want to miss this revelation. In our last segment we traced the stealth of Sweden's Gotland diesel-electric submarines, showing how these silent hunters stretch NATO's reach across the Baltic and threaten the heart of Russia's undersea power. Now we turn the spotlight to the chilling cold front of Lapland, where steel, snow, and unyielding resolve converge to form the backbone of a new assault brigade. The northern winds howl over frozen tundra as Sweden's CV-90 armored vehicles and Leopard 2 tanks glide forward. Their chassis, built for razor-sharp ice cracks, deliver a crushing punch in winter campaigns. Every rumble of a tank's tracks is a hammer striking the very marrow of Russian defense lines. Do these armored giants stand ready to shatter the first line of Russian fortifications, or will they falter beneath the relentless frosts that have lulled many before them? Across the border, Finland amplifies this armored wrath, wielding a staggering 280,000 soldiers in full mobilization. Picture a line of troops, boots crunching on snow, their rifles humming with disciplined power, covering every mile of forest and lake. For decades, the Finnish army has honed its tactics to outmaneuver a single, formidable adversary, Russia, within its own dense, watery maze. Their artillery, among Europe's largest collections, drums with a deadly promise, striking supply convoys, quieting hidden batteries, and turning silent rivers into battle cries. How many enemy positions could be obliterated before the horizon bleeds into another wintry blot? Finland's modern armored buses and winter-tuned tactics ensure that the brigade remains functional in the most hazardous Lapland conditions. Yet it is not merely machinery. The nation's intelligence network, comparable to the keenest of Russian surveillance forces, has been gathering secrets along the border for decades. Will this wealth of local knowledge provide a forewarning of the next Russian act, or will it become a silent martyr to the inevitable? Both Sweden and Finland bring a potent blend of mass, technology, and frost resilience to the assault brigade. This duo overturns old strategic assumptions about northern military balance. With each artillery salvo echoing across lakes, each tank's thud echoing against stone walls, the brigade holds Russia's most prized northern trade routes in its palm. The question now lingers: how will the looming threat of a Siberian North barrage reshape Russia's plans for a formidable presence in the Arctic skies? The emergence of a powerful joint military brigade formed by Sweden and Finland has dramatically shifted the balance of power in the Arctic, turning all previous Russian military strategies upside down. With tens of thousands of troops poised at Russia's doorstep, NATO is no longer merely reactive, it's poised to actively challenge Russian control over the region. This military alliance doesn't just represent an increase in numbers, it poses a direct threat to Russia's ambitions and potentially undermines its economic lifelines. The Arctic holds not just icy waters but a treasure trove of resources. The Northern Sea route, once envisioned by Putin as a cornerstone of Russia's economic future, faces imminent danger. With melting ice, this trade route could become a vital artery connecting Asia and Europe, much faster than the Suez Canal. What if the Joint Brigade, with its highly skilled personnel, could restrict access to this crucial pathway and target intricate energy projects like Novatek's LNG facilities? Imagine the chaos: fleeing investors, collapsing projects, and a crumbling economy. Putin's military might is faltering under the weight of this new reality. The presence of a combined force like this assaults not just military positions but the very core of Russia's economic ambitions. The geopolitical risk for Russia's Arctic ventures has surged, making investors think twice before diving in. As fears mount, an opportunity grows for Swedish and Finnish defense manufacturers, companies poised to integrate more closely into NATO supply chains. What can Russia do in light of these developments? Deploy additional troops to the Arctic? That comes at a grave cost. The Russian army is struggling on the Ukrainian front, and reinforcing the north would stretch already strained resources to their breaking point. The question looms, can Russia sustain such a defensive posture, or is this the beginning of an economic and military unraveling? As the pressure builds, the Baltic winds carry whispers of uncertainty. With every passing day, Putin's grand dreams of supremacy appear to slip further from his grasp. The interplay of military strategy and economic survival unfolds in real time, painting a gripping portrait of a nation on the precipice. How will the Kremlin navigate this treacherous landscape, especially as new challenges emerge? For Russia, the stakes have never been higher. Recently we highlighted how Russia's push into the Arctic could exhaust its already strained forces. Bringing more men and material north would only add to Moscow's burden, which is already stretched by losses in Ukraine. Every citizen, from postal workers to surgeons, has a stake in this defense. Did you know that two small nations, once isolated in silence, now lead a 12,000 strong brigade on the edge of the world? These troops are the vivid heart of a new alliance that laughs in the face of a superpower's fear. Imagine tall pine forests, freezing winds, and the distant thud of artillery shells echoing across Lapland. The final chapter of this story is still being written, and it will decide the fate of an old empire. What if the sky above the Kola Peninsula is the ultimate chessboard? Supporters of the alliance bring British Eurofighters, F-35s, and Apache helicopters, each a thunderclap of modern fire. Their engines roar, sending a metallic scent through the ice. Meanwhile, deep within the forests, Swedish and Finnish commanders train for battles that could echo across continents. Will the northern mountains hold their ground against this storm, or will they crack under pressure? Can a single pier on the shore of a frozen sea become the nerve center of a world's nuclear deterrent? Russian SSBNs sit like sleeping giants beneath the waves, ready to roar any minute. Yet the new ground force, armored in tanks, SBHs, and scavenged in the harsh climate, threatens that quiet. The clash may force Moscow to divert resources from one conflict to another, leaving its eastern front more vulnerable. And as the wind shifts, what unseen force lies beneath the snow, waiting to turn the tide? Did a silent coalition in the Arctic just turn a quiet nation into a thunderous fortress? The first reveal of a gigantic battalion made shadows grow long over the frozen coast. Within a few days the news sent ripples from Helsinki to Stockholm, stirring debate and fear. From the shock of a new brigade, we trace its lineage back to an age-old tradition of self-protection. Finland kept its military even after the Cold War ended. No convenience store replaced its underground shelters, they are still vast, safe, and ready. A network beneath the capital supports every citizen, a lifeline against bomb or blackout. Strategic stores of grain, fuel, medicine, and supplies are hidden in secret sites across the country. If the world outside closes, Finland can survive for months using only its own stockpiles. Sweden's story took a different path. After the collapse of the Soviet threat, conscription was abolished and shelters fell silent. The annexation of Crimea and the war in Ukraine jolted Stockholm's indifference into action. All households received a brochure again, a manual for survival, supplies, and resistance. The brochure teaches how to brace for water loss, electricity cuts, and how to join the fight. Now the nation's soldiers train on gravel roads that could triple as runways for jets, even after a strike. Together, the Swedish-Finnish brigade grows close to 12,000 men and women. Its core of 4,000 to 5,000 is joined by another 7,000 reserve forces. Sticks to the edge of the land, near the peninsula where Russia's nuclear submarines nest. Heavy weapons, including tanks, self-propelled howitzers, and modern armored vehicles, line the frontier. The presence of English-drawn Eurofighter Typhoons, F-35 Shadowbirds, and Apache choppers adds a deadly edge. The blend of steel, technology, and northern endurance forms a conflagration on Russia's doorstep. And yet this force does more than break a front line. It threatens Russia's own lifeline, the northern sea route that balances lightweight travel between Asia and Europe. Those gas-capped oceans hold vast energy and mineral resources that could blaze under the new alliance's watch. Could this change of control force Russia to divert troops from its war elsewhere to shield these assets? The weight of that question grows heavier with every sunrise over the Lapland snow. In a world where the specter of conflict looms ever closer, Nordic nations have awakened to the stark realities of modern warfare. What happens when the front lines of tension shift from open battlefields to the hearts and minds of ordinary citizens? In response to the escalating threat from Russia, Sweden and Finland have transformed their societies into fortresses of resolve. They've reinstated mandatory military service for all citizens, reinforcing a collective sense of responsibility and readiness. Local defense units, known as the Home Guard, are back in action, equipped with cutting-edge technology and trained for resilience. The aim? To create an impregnable barrier against invasion, ensuring that every citizen is prepared to become a guardian of their homeland. Imagine the quiet towns and serene forests of Sweden as potential battlegrounds, where even a professional army's initial defenses might not prevent relentless guerrilla warfare from local defenders. This relentless spirit pains the Kremlin, for they know all too well that Sweden and Finland's collective will, bolstered by national pride, cannot be easily broken by tanks or missiles. The conflict has shifted its contours. It's not just a military engagement but a concealed battle for societal willpower. Russia's focus now targets the unity and determination of the civilians behind their armies. But in their underestimation, they overlook an essential truth. Concepts like sisu, the Finnish fortitude, and total societal resilience are not merely military strategies, they are the backbone of national identity and unity against such hybrid threats. These two nations, forged in the trials of resisting a formidable neighbor over centuries, possess experience that transcends physical might. As the northern struggle unfolds, it will determine not just an arsenal of weaponry, but the indomitable strength of will. This newfound alliance between Sweden and Finland, bolstered by NATO support, complicates the geopolitical landscape like never before. As we dive deeper into this riveting narrative, one question lingers: who truly holds the power when the battlefield extends beyond the visible front lines? The answer may redefine what it means to be a fortified nation in an era where warfare is as much psychological as it is physical. Together, these strongholds prepare their destinies against the encroaching shadows, proving that resilience is built between the hearts of their people, ready to stand together against any threat that dares to approach. Previously, we saw how the battle in the north has evolved far beyond tanks and territory. It is now a clash of spirit and resilience. The people of Sweden and Finland bring centuries of unyielding will to this struggle. Their alliance has transformed the region into a tangled web of overt armies and hidden battles of influence. Now, imagine a war fought on two fronts, one where boots thunder through snowy fields, and another where invisible forces target the very minds behind those boots. While armies prepare for open combat, a covert conflict rages beneath the surface, aiming to fracture unity and weaken resolve. Against this combined force of steel and spirit, Russia's chances shrink under a relentless pressure that Putin knows all too well. Yet, he treads carefully, aware that any misstep could unravel his carefully crafted image on the world stage. This tense balance may be Russia's undoing, a slow, strategic unraveling that could redefine the nation's identity in ways no missile can achieve. As the shadows deepen, the question looms: will Putin's empire withstand a battle that strikes not at borders, but at the heart of resolve itself? The stage is set for a showdown that will decide more than maps. It will shape the future of power itself.